So this kind of surprised me a little bit. I was expecting more companies, more executives to sort of sound off and say that they were going to start calling employees back, or at least calling employees back more so than maybe perhaps these findings suggest. How does this speak to not only a post-pandemic new normal, but also what workers want?
Yeah, Morgan, it's a great question. I think in isolation, CEOs very much want to get people back, but they also recognize they're in a war for talent. And they know that in order to get that talent, it takes a hybrid approach, and different employees want different things. So what we're seeing come through this survey is a recognition that in order to get the best talent, you need to balance their safety, which is coming first without a doubt, but they want new ways of working, which we're also seeing very much. And the reality is, as we survey our employees and CEOs survey their employees, they're asking for many different things, and companies are adapting, and they're adapting fast, building off the lessons they learned over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other findings from this survey jumped out at me. For example, ESG. It's something we talk about so much on this network, and the shift from an investing standpoint. How are CEOs and the like thinking about that and approaching it now?
What's been really interesting over the last year and a half, we've seen ESG move to the upper right-hand side of the quadrant in terms of risk and opportunity. So we're seeing more and more companies talk about what is their strategy around all three elements of ESG, environmental, social, governance, and they're looking at different ways to drive differentiation. What is really important to point out is that ESG is a hot topic, and it's not only from a risk but an opportunity standpoint. So companies that are in each other's supply chains, they're looking for ways to differentiate of how can I win more opportunities, mitigate the risk of being squeezed out of a supply chain because I'm maybe not doing the right things from an ESG perspective. So it is an investor-driven topic, but it's also as each company looks to get better and better, they're saying there's an opportunity for me to differentiate, whether it be transparency, different practices, and the like.
What about overall economic outlook, Tim? Were the CEOs and management executives you surveyed bullish, bearish, somewhere in between?
Yeah, well, for a great question. Overall, high degree of optimism. The $1.9 trillion package helps, but also what we're seeing is companies really adapted. They're getting very good at managing their costs, very good at driving productivity, and they're seeing increase in revenue. In fact, over 80% of the executives who we surveyed see increased revenues this year over last year as they feel the recovery coming. So good degree of optimism out there. Clearly, a lot of things executives can't control, but when you look at their ability to drive business improvement and increase revenues, really good momentum and optimism that we're seeing out there.
Finally, Tim, just to shift gears a little bit, I mean, a lot of talk about a higher corporate tax rate coming to fund trillions of dollars worth of spending. What are the conversations you are having with customers? How realistic is it to think that we could get something like that even before the year is out?
Yeah, over 50% of the executives we surveyed, we're going to expect to see some type of tax activity, and the planning level is up significantly. So companies are analyzing cash flow, investment, earnings powers, and it's not just based on what may happen here in the U.S. It is important to point out governments all across the world have done different types of stimulus packages, and there is a sense that companies will be paying some type of more taxes going forward, and we're seeing that already in the increase in planning that are happening. We're also seeing controversy in different parts of the world increase as well. So it's very much a topic companies are planning for right now.
Tim, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Take care, Rolf.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.